guys, and welcome back to the Cruel Corner. Unfortunately, though, there is no Formula E race for me to talk about just yet. But in a couple of months' time, we will be at that point where we'll be kicking off another Cruel Corner season. This time around, I thought I would divulge my thoughts and opinions on the current lineup so far that we have for the future season going in. We've got quite a number of drivers confirmed now. We've got some drivers and teams that are question marks, but we sort of know that they're locked in that position, but it isn't, pen to paper just yet. And we've got a couple of seats that are really up in the air at the moment, and we've got maybe quite a few drivers trying to scrabble for those few positions that aren't really confirmed with any driver at the moment. So I just thought it'd be a great way for me to put a video out there just to show and see what I think of the current lineup that is fully announced, what we expect to be announced, and where we think some drivers that might fall by the wayside have that final chance of securing a final place on the grid. Of course, the big news is there's no McLaren this year, and there is no team that is taking over McLaren's base. There's no team replacing them, so we are dropping a team. So there's already immediately 2 less seats available within Formula E for any driver that's sort of on the line and maybe had an under-delivering couple of seasons to survive, really. So yeah, we're going to divulge it as we go through. We'll go team by team in no alphabetical order, no particular order. We'll just go through team by team as I remember them, really, and we'll talk about what lineup is definitely confirmed and what I think to it. So we'll kick things off with Andretti then. We may as well, haven't we? We may as well. Andretti, of course, a champion just a couple of seasons ago, and yeah, bit struggling over the last couple of seasons. Jake Dennis is fully confirmed for them for the upcoming season, of course. No surprise there. Jake Dennis has been their stalwart driver for a number of years now and has been delivering great things for that team, even when the car hasn't really deserved to be in place, as Jake has put it. It's nice that they've got that continuity once again, but they always struggle with that second seat, don't they? They have had no continuity within that second seat, and it looks like this season will be no exception. Still a big question mark over who will be in that second position, who will be in that second seat. Of course, we know it. We don't think it's going to be Nico Muller, because Nico Muller is looking likely to be going to Porsche now, after Da Costa has announced that he will not be for Porsche for next season. So yeah, if it's not going to be Nico Muller and Nico Muller's off to Porsche, then who will it be? It will be yet another teammate alongside Jake Dennis for potentially just one season. The big name, of course, not currently on the grid is Stoffel Vandoorne, and he is not really officially linked to any of these question mark seats as of yet. So I would say if I was Andretti, I'd try and nab him, really. That would be my go-to driver for that second seat. If we are going to have a change, and if it's definitely not going to be Nico Muller, then I would have Stoffel Vandoorne in that seat. Other options really are a bit thin on the ground, to be honest with you, because drivers such as Robin Freitz, who has left Envision now, he really didn't do much, did he, last season? Would you really want him in that car? We've seen some good performances from him in the past, but as of late, in that Envision, the last couple of seasons, he hasn't really delivered much. Vandoorne, of course, has struggled with the Gen 3 era, but we have seen some odd, impressive performances from him. We've seen some great strategic gambles as well from him, taking the win last season, courtesy of taking the pit boost first out of everyone, then having a red flag, so he had a massive margin. Yeah, I think Vandoorne could potentially be a good fit for that Andretti team and would also be able to deliver continuity. I think you've got a driver there that is not just going to want a 1-year deal. He would want multiple year deal. He'd want 2-3 minimum, really. So they can actually have some value in having 2 drivers that are going to remain with the team for a good number of years. I mean, it's been in and out, hasn't it? It's been a revolving door of second drivers, that at second Andretti seat. We've seen the likes of Norman Nato, Oliver Askew, Nico Muller this year. There's been so many that have just been in and out, in and out, in and out. And I think if they're going to get someone like Vandoorne that is a champion within Formula E, let's not forget that. And let's get someone that can stay there for a good number of years and build and develop and grow with the team as they go into the Gen 4 era. That would be my bet. That's who I'd put there. But at the moment, it is a big question mark at the moment as to who it will actually be. I would be surprised if it is Nico Muller retained for a second season, but if it is, I think that's a good move as well. I think, again, get the continuity in and keep someone that will be there for a good number of years and has already had previous years' experience with the team and the car. But yeah, personally speaking, I don't think it's going to be Nico Muller, and if I had a chance of picking who would be in that second Andretti seat alongside Jake Dennis, I'd go for Van Dorn. The second team we'll talk about then is DS Penske. They have a new lineup with Taylor Barnard. We have Jean-Eric Vergne departing the team, and he is off to Citroen. So Taylor Barnard has taken his seat there, and we have Maximilian Gunter alongside him. So he is a familiar face to the team. Done a couple of seasons with them now, and yeah, I mean, what a great pickup. What a great pickup getting Taylor Barnard. I mean, Rookie of the Year last year by a country mile, and then not just that, but probably one of the most impressive drivers all season long in terms of consistency with the lack of experience he had. There was some unlucky moments as well where he could have picked up podiums and then got punted off. So there was a lot more on the cards for Taylor Barnard. We saw random off days from the McLaren squad, such as the London doubleheader, for example, was involved in absolute carnage and chaos there, where more could have been on offer for him. And he was a legitimate title contender going into the final few races, really. And for a rookie, that's bloody impressive. He'll want to hunker down on that experience now. He's no longer the rookie. There's a lot of expectation on his young shoulders, but I think he will deliver. So he's a great asset to the DS Penske squad. They have picked up a great driver in Taylor Barnard. He certainly didn't deserve to be sat by the wayside when McLaren pulled out, and I'm glad someone's picked it up. I'm glad it's someone of that calibre. Really, really happy with that. I'm really impressed. So yeah, it is going to be, of course, Taylor Barnard, and alongside him Maxi Gunter, who, as we already know and have known for several seasons now, he is great on his day and he is unstoppable, unbeatable. But we have these moments of erraticness and lack of pace, and he really needs to iron that out. I do think he's a great asset to the DS Penske squad, and again, that continuity is going to play dividends when you've got a new young driver alongside you. But he needs to iron out these off days. We've got a bigger calendar next season, so hopefully that means he's got, you know, room to make an error or two, but still have plenty of races left to recover it. I'm not expecting the Penske squad to be championship contenders, shall we say, but I'm expecting them to be on the verge of it once again. I would say Taylor Barnard will replicate what he did with McLaren last year, which is have some great highs, some impressive moments where we, you know, looking like realistic contenders, and then it's sort of ebbing away. But I think that's going to be more down to the team than anything else. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Can Maxi Gunter effectively take that first driver status within that squad? And will he be able to push the team forward? Or will it be Taylor Barnard that is just going to come in with so much experience and knowledge from McLaren in his impressive first season that will be like, no lads, I'm in charge, I know what I'm doing. Going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But yeah, a confirmed driver lineup there with Maxi Gunter and Taylor Barnard. I think it's a really strong lineup. Potential for a championship challenge, I would say, but I think they'll just maybe fall short. But even so, I'm expecting Taylor Barnard to do big things. Maxi Gunter, if he can iron out these off days and silly mistakes, then he's got a chance to do something really impressive as well. But yeah, overall, a strong driver lineup, a good package there with experience as well as a bit of youth as well. But that youth is coming in with a lot of knowledge from another team, and that could really work out well for DS Penske. Next up, we have Envision with a confirmed driver lineup of Sebastian Buemi and a new driver, a new face to the grid, apart from a couple of one-off appearances throughout the seasons, which is Joel Eriksson. He's done a couple of guest appearances, shall we say, when other drivers have been off doing World Endurance commitments, mainly clashes with the Berlin rounds, doesn't it? So he has raced for Envision before, the odd couple of races, and has delivered some points while he has been racing as well. So he comes in as a rookie with a couple of races under his belt, knows the team well, has been a test and development driver for a couple of seasons for the Envision squad, and as mentioned, has competed in a couple of races. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. Buemi last year looked like he'd really found his fortune again and really, you know, mustered himself back up again to manage to win for the first time in like 6 years or something daft around the streets of Monaco. And yeah, he's obviously going to be able to try and deliver and drive that team forward. Joel Eriksson, of course, be interesting to see how he gets on. We have seen some good, impressive performances from him in the few guest appearances he has done. As mentioned, he has scored some points, which is great. That's all that you can really expect of a rookie, isn't it? And even more, really, because the drivers that he was replacing at the time, such as Robin Freins, delivered really nothing often, so the fact he was able to get some points was good. Joel Eriksson, I think he's going to take a good number of races to get up to speed. I'm more than happy to give him 6 to 8 races. I think the team are going to know that as well. It's good to be good on your one-off appearance, but when you try and string a season together, try and get the continuity and consistency together, different temperatures, different track layouts, you know, different track surfaces as well, the energy efficiency not being there or as efficient certain weekends. That's where it's going to be a learning curve for him, and I think Envision are expected for that, but I really don't think he can do any worse than what Robin Freitz has been doing the last couple of seasons. That's no disrespect to Robin Freitz, it's just not been going at all well for him, has it, the past few seasons. So yeah, Joel Eriksson, I think he'll take a few races to get up to speed, learn the consistency, continuity of the car, of course. Sebastian Buemi, I really hope he can find that form that he had in last season's performances where he was unstoppable like Monaco and was delivering good podium position finishes as well for the team. Let's not forget that. He was more consistent, but again, the team wasn't. Sometimes the team let him down as well, and they were just nowhere just because they could be. So yeah, Envision, as a team, need to find their consistency and find the form. You've got Buemi that's having really highs of highs, but then lows of lows so far, but was right to be retained for the continuity of the team. And then Joel Eriksson, a rookie that will be trying to find his feet, learn the car, learn the team, learn the environment, and really try and understand how to get a consistent Formula E race weekend under his belt on multiple occasions. And overall, it's down to the team to get their consistency together before you can expect the drivers to do so. But I'm confident with the lineup they've got that they can do better than what they have done in previous seasons. And fingers crossed, it can be forward for Envision. And we can see them finishing a little bit higher up in the constructors than they have been in the last few seasons as well. So yeah, Envision, strong lineup. We've got a rookie, but we've got some big experience with Buemi as well. Get the consistency together. They could be on for big things. Next up, we come to TCS Jaguar Racing, of course. Now we have Mitch Evans. We know we've got Mitch Evans. He's always going to be there, isn't he? And a question mark at the moment of who will be alongside him. Nick Cassidy departing for the Citroen team, of course. Heavily rumoured now with the announcement that Da Costa has left Porsche, that Da Costa is ending up at Jaguar, which could be a really potent lineup. If it is Evans and Da Costa, that could be a real big apple cart upset, really. It could be a good driver lineup there. Again, Jaguar really struggled at the start of last season, and then you have the likes of Nick Cassidy finishing a runner-up in the overall Drivers' Championship, and the team elevating themselves up to second, was it, overall in the team standings, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Nick Cassidy is the asset that they shouldn't have really lost, to be honest. He was clearly the dominant Jaguar driver. Mitch Evans lost his head on a number of occasions, and I really wouldn't like to see that continue going into next season, because if his emotions are overruling his overall actions on track, then we could see some clumsy accidents, clumsy incidents again, and the volatile team radio messaging is just not what's needed, unfortunately, especially from a professional outfit like Jaguar. And, you know, maybe his outbursts could end up costing him. You think if Da Costa does come in alongside and starts doing what Cassidy could do in that car, which is just win, pole, you know, and firmly beat him, then it's going to cause some big ructions, isn't it? So let's see how Da Costa gets on if he does go for Jaguar. I mean, it's heavily rumoured. It's almost expected now, an announcement any minute. So let's see. But yeah, if it is Da Costa alongside Mitch Evans and Da Costa starts beating Evans, I think we're going to see a very unhappy Mitch Evans. He was unhappy at the end of last season where Cassidy was almost favoured over Evans, and Evans is like, well, I'm staying here, Cassidy isn't. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. I think there's going to be some frosty receptions every now and again. Mitch Evans, I hope he can just have a good reset over this winter period that he's had. I say winter, he's had summer, hasn't he? He's had a break over summer. But, yeah, I hope he's able just to calm down, reset. I hope Jaguar is able to hit the ground running going into the next season, as opposed to being on the back foot and, you know, not really doing much for a number of races. But yeah, let's see how it goes. But if Da Costa and Evans are all at their A game, the team's at their A game, championship contenders for both drivers, and I think it could be an exciting season, an exciting battle for Jaguar. I look forward to it, but Jaguar just needs to get out the blocks. They need to get out running. They can't be doing this mess that they had at the start of the first few races where they hardly picked up any points. They've got to hit the ground running. The team have got to be behind both drivers, and they've got to keep the inter-team rivalry civil at best. So yeah, let's see how that goes on. But I'm expecting big things from Jaguar, and as always, championship contenders in both teams and drivers. Next up, we come to the KIRO Pro Quid Pro Status Quo. Don't break my heart. Breaky heart team. Two question marks at the moment for this team. However, we are believed that Dan Tinctum is set to retain his seat. I mean, why would you not keep him? Why would you not keep him after an incredible season last season? A couple of podiums, a victory, a pole position. He had some great pace and performances. London let him down a little bit. We ended the season on a sour note. Some uncharacteristic errors from him, which we'd have expected seasons ago. But he was really reformed last season, and I think, honest to God, KIRO, you need to keep Dan Tinctum. I think we're expecting an announcement to say it's Dan Tinctum. Maybe Dan's just wanted an extra season or two with him on the contract, or maybe a get-out clause if a bigger team comes knocking. That's maybe what's just causing the time at the moment, just, getting everything, finer points of the contract written down and confirmed. The second seat is very much a question mark, but we're expecting Jake Hughes to be announced, of course, the driver departing the former Maserati squad, now Citroen. We're expecting Jake Hughes to potentially be at that seat. If not, maybe that could be a place for Van Dorn to line up as well. I think it's more likely that Jake Hughes would end up at a team like that as opposed to Van Dorn. I think if Van Dorn's going to go for any seat, he'd try and go for the Andretti one. But never say never. I think talks are going to be happening anywhere just to keep him on the grid. But more heavily rumoured to the side of Jake Hughes. Jake really didn't do that great in Maserati, unfortunately. He had one podium last season, didn't he, early on? And then the form just fell away. I couldn't even tell you the last time he scored points, to be honest. Maybe he picked up a point in London with all the chaos. I can't even remember. But yeah, Jake Hughes, he had a great rookie season, and he developed on that rookie season with McLaren. But then he had these moments where he was just absolutely nowhere. You couldn't quite work out at the time if it was car or driver. But looking like how his form has continued throughout his Formula E career, you'd have to say it's more down to him just having a bad day, unfortunately. So KIRO, yeah, I would expect him to maybe have a better chance at a team like that. Less pressure, certainly, I would say. Maybe the likes of an actual manufacturer team is the pressure that Jake can't quite deliver with. But with KIRO, if he's got a bit more of a look, we know where we are, we know what we're expecting out of this race. Maybe he's able to deliver more points finishes, more consistency in an environment that's more relaxed, perhaps. But yeah, I would say even anyone going alongside Dan Tinctum, if he is retained there, are going to have a difficult time, aren't they? They're going to have a difficult time beating Dan Tinctum. So yeah, Jake Hughes, the more I would lean on the side of. But again, Van Dorn can end up there as well, potentially. We shall see. But yeah, if it is Jake Hughes, I don't think it's a backwards move because David Beckman did really struggle last season. There was a couple of opportunities where he could have scored points but didn't. Finally got a point in the final round at London. But yeah, there were many weekends actually where he was absolutely nowhere at all. So I wouldn't say having Hughes would be a backwards move. It wouldn't be a sideways move. It would be an improvement. But I think if there's other options available, I would try and explore those other options personally. But that's no criticism against Jake Hughes. And like I say, maybe he could thrive in an environment that has less pressure around it. Let's see. But yeah, KIRO, I reckon it's going to be Dan Tinctum. I'm 99% confident it's going to be Dan Tinctum. And I'm 75% sure it will be Jake Hughes. And if that's a lineup, could be strong, could offer some good consistency. But again, we'll have to see how the team get on in terms of their efficiency and how they're able to manage the pace in the car and the funding as well, of course, because they're the least funded team on the grid. So yeah, let's see how it all goes. But if that's going to be the lineup, I think they could be on for a strong year. But there may be other options in the pipelines that they could have instead of Hughes. Then we'll come to Lola Yamaha, Lola, whichever way round it goes. I've still not learnt it, I never will. Again, two question marks, but heavily rumoured that it will be a retaining of Lucas Di Grassi and Zane Maloney for that team. And I think that's a fantastic lineup. If they're going to do that, that's a brilliant way to do it. Zane Maloney, I mean, how unlucky was he not to pick up any points last season and be the only driver to do so? I don't think that's a credit to him at all. I think that's a very bad way for his season to end, really. Even Beckman scraping a point at the final points paying opportunity. But yeah, Zane Maloney didn't deserve that against his name. It's certainly not a red mark or a black mark against his name. It's just an unfortunate fact of what happens when you are a rookie signing for a brand new team with brand new power units, just really understanding how this championship works. Sometimes you're going to get the rough end of the stick. You're going to get problems where you finish inside the points, but then a penalty takes you out of it, just not taking your attack modes because that was mismanaged by the team and things like that. So, yeah, Zane Maloney, I think he had a lot more to show than he was able to actually show last season. I think there was more on the cards from Zane Maloney, personally speaking. And as for Di Grassi, of course, we saw the, shall we say, lucky podium at Miami. But they got everything right that race, so I think they deserved it. But yeah, he was able to deliver some points on a good number of occasions, which is all they could really expect for their first season. Going into the second season, again, that word continuity is what they're after. And if they keep Zane Maloney and Lucas Di Grassi, they've certainly got that youth and experience. The youth into his second season, really understanding the championship, understanding the team now. There's not going to be any sort of new face nerves or anything. He's going to know the team well for Maloney, and of course Di Grassi is well attributed into delivering and performing and developing cars throughout seasons. So he's a great asset to have for that team, and will hopefully try and push the team forward for more points and more podium finishes perhaps. Zane Maloney, of course, needs to get that that omen out of the way and pick up some points early on, just to say, yeah, I am a point scorer in Formula E now, thank you. But yeah, I think overall it's a great lineup. Still going to be a development year for Lola, don't get me wrong. I still expect them to struggle, but if a team, this time around, I think if a team has a particularly difficult season, Envision not getting it together again, KIRO maybe not having the amount of funding that they would like to be able to develop the car going forward, so they take a step back, I think we could see Lola on the fringes of beating them now, as opposed to being a distant 11th in the team's championship. I think there could be 10th in the end, of course, with just 10 teams. But I think it will be a lot closer to the rest of the pack now. I think they'll close that gap, and that's all that you can really expect from a second season in a really competitive championship. Let's not forget that. It is very topsy-turvy as Formula E. Some teams and drivers are randomly quick for random's sake, and then you've got the consistent ones as well. And yeah, it all leads to a spicy season, doesn't it? But yeah, Lola at Yamaha, if they do confirm their driver lineup is the same as last year, with Lucas Di Grassi and Zane Maloney, fair play to him. I think that's a great way to develop going into your second season. Next we come to Mahindra and a confirmed driver lineup, of course, of Nick De Vries and Eduardo Mortara. They're going nowhere, and I am pleased to see that. I'm pleased to see, because they have been doing absolutely fantastically, haven't they? Just a couple of seasons ago, they were fast but erratic in terms of their luck. Their luck deserted them on more than one occasion. They were involved in incidents and accidents that weren't their fault. Mahindra deserved a lot more from the previous couple of seasons, but last season is where they really hit the ground running. They developed the Gen 3.5 Evo car, and they were confident going into the season that they were going to be, up there, really up there. And I underestimated them somewhat and thought, well, I'm going to be cautious with my expectations of Mahindra. We've seen it before where they've been optimistic and they really haven't delivered the goods. Or they've delivered the results early on and then slipped away. But last season were a fantastic season for both drivers and the team. Great to see them maintaining that relationship going into the next season. And I can only expect them to do a similar thing to what they've done. I think it's a bit like Formula 1 with Formula E now. You've got a team that's really doing well with what they've got and the equipment they've got. A bit like a Force India back in the day of Formula 1. They're always going to struggle to bridge that gap to try and get to the likes of Porsche and Jaguar, and really just try and push the envelope and try and break through. Of course, you can see it happen on a rare occasion, but the consistency of being able to do that over the course of a season is what sort of sets Mahindra just that little bit back. So, yeah, I have big expectations from him. I'm expecting double podiums from him. Podium apiece, maybe a victory apiece as well as the season goes on. But again, probably looking realistically around that third or fourth in the team standings overall come the end of the season. Just not quite able to deliver on the likes of Jaguar and Porsche across an entire championship. But they'll have their moments, they'll have their day, and what a fantastic driver lineup again with Eduardo Mortara and Nick De Vries, who delivered so many results on so many occasions last season. It's a real positive seat that. I love Mahindra, I always have done, always had a soft spot for them all season long. Potentially, like, first season, of course, when it was Bruno Senna, Karen Chandok, you knew him from Formula 1 with the ill-fated HRT team, and so it was nice to have that relationship with that team, knowing that they're sort of like the underdogs. And they went through and they've delivered some great results over the seasons. You know, the likes of Jerome D'Ambrosio coming in through the seasons. I've just always liked the drivers they've had. Felix Rosenqvist, of course, as well. So I've always liked the drivers. I always loved Dilbag Gill. Of course, Dilbag's no longer there, unfortunately. But, you know, the drivers have always been someone that I've always, like, really, you know, looked up to and thought, you know, they're great drivers. But they've not always had the equipment. This time around, we've got two fantastic drivers and we've got a fantastic team in Mahindra. So yeah, really looking forward to see how they get on, and I'm expecting good things from them throughout the season. Another fully confirmed driver lineup and a new face on the team, of course, it is Citroen. A brand new team, but it's not brand new really. It's a rebranding of Maserati, of course. It's all still under the Stellantis banner. And yeah, honestly, what a fantastic driver lineup they've got going into their first season. Of course, first season as Citroen. We all know. But yeah, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant with Nick Cassidy and Jean-Eric Vergne. They've poached two fantastic drivers, haven't they? They've done so well with that driver lineup. We know, of course, Jean-Eric Vergne has always had a podium in every season in Formula E, at least one, so that hopefully he'll definitely be wanting to continue that form. Nick Cassidy, look at how bad that season kicked off with the Jaguar squad, but still able to finish runner-up, take a double win in the final round at London, take a pole position as well, of course, that weekend, fastest lap, did a grand slam, effectively, in that final race. That's how crazy Nick Cassidy is. He delivers some fantastic results often, and in any car. You know, we saw him almost champion in Envision, almost champion in Jaguar. So his time's got to come now, surely, hasn't it? What a fantastic asset. What a fantastic asset to the Citroen squad in Nick Cassidy. One of the most highly rated drivers on the grid is Nick Cassidy, and who can blame anyone that thinks that? He really is a fantastic asset. Jean-Eric Vergne as well, of course, with his consistency and his ability to get cars into podiums and points when sometimes it doesn't look like it deserves to be there as well, is a great attribute for Jean-Eric Vergne. Two really impressive, well-experienced, well-versed drivers within Formula E. They are going to be a formidable force. They really are. We've just got to hope that this car and the team as a rebranded Maserati, we've seen Maserati be quick but inconsistent over the years. Last season, it looked like they could have moments, but never able to really push the envelope below, you know, above sort of like a top six finish, really, more often than not. So the team needs to do a lot of work behind the scenes now, because they've got two fantastic drivers that are able to deliver them a championship in terms of team and drivers, if they can get that car together, if they can get themselves together. So yeah, come on Citroen. Be like you were in Season 9 Maserati, where they were really quick but the drivers were shunting. These drivers are not going to shunt. These drivers are going to be so quick, so consistent. Give them a Season 9 Maserati for the equivalent of that for the Citroen, and you've got a championship on your hands in both teams and drivers, without a doubt. Then we come to the Porsche squad, which currently have two question marks at the side of their faces. But for the driver lineup, we're looking like, again, Pascal Wehrlein. I mean, where else can he go? He's definitely going to be there. Again, it's a bit like Dan Tinkton, probably just getting the finer details of a contract together before they actually put pen to paper and sign it. Pascal Wehrlein, of course, we've seen him be a champion just a couple of seasons ago. The teams have been a team champion. He's delivered fantastic victories, fantastic podiums. Again, Pascal Wehrlein up there with the likes of Nick Cassidy as one of the greats within Formula E currently, and he's really delivering the goods. So to maintain Pascal Wehrlein is a great asset. We know it's happened. Again, I'm 99% confident that he will be signing for that team for a multi-year deal going into the Gen 4 era, and he will be another incredible asset. He will be a strong championship contender, and I can't wait to see what he does. As for the second seat, of course, heavily rumoured to be Nico Muller, but not 100% confirmed. We definitely know it's not Da Costa, of course, because he's potentially off to Jaguar. So, but he's definitely left Porsche. We know that for a fact. So, yeah, heavily rumoured to be Nico Muller, of course, departing the Andretti squad. And yeah, Nico Muller is someone they wanted a couple of seasons ago when Da Costa had his rough start to a season, didn't he? He had a really tough challenge to a season and wasn't picking up many points. They were doing private tests behind the scenes, of course, and they were trying to get Muller out of his contract who he was racing for at the time. And in the end, they kept Da Costa, but it's still looking like Muller is going to be set for that Porsche seat. What we did see of him in Andretti was always difficult to tell, of course. Jake Hughes, a great driver within Formula E, but Andretti just weren't consistent enough. Sometimes, some weekends they'd have a car that had the race pace, but not the single lap pace for qualifying, so they qualified poorly and couldn't get the way through the grid. Then some days you'd see them absolutely storming, having a great qualifying, but then tumbling back in the race. So Muller's season was very difficult to judge. It was also involved in a lot of incidents and accidents that weren't his fault either. He bared the brunt of the bad luck, really, for the Andretti squad. We saw car shutdowns as well, of course. So, yeah, Nico Muller's time in Formula E has always been a bit inconsistent, but it's not always been due to his own mistakes and doings. It's been down to the team and just unfortunate incidents and accidents. So Nico Muller, I think he'll be a great asset to the Porsche squad, but I think he's going to take a few races to find his feet. I'm expecting Pascal Wehrlein to be the lead #1 driver within that squad. You know, Da Costa and Wehrlein took it in turns, didn't they, across the season when they were both in their A game. They were both really thriving and pushing forward. You saw many victories for Da Costa, you saw many victories for Wehrlein. I think it's more often than not going to be top spot of the podiums for Wehrlein, Muller, podium finishes here and there. The occasional win, I would say, is fair for him. So yeah, Muller, if he does sign alongside Wehrlein, he will be the #2. He will be assisting in giving Pascal Wehrlein a chance of a championship, but overall I think he will still deliver a great result and will be a fantastic asset to the Porsche team to deliver them a second team's title. I think he'll be up there and he'll be consistent, but he just won't be at Wehrlein's level. My honest opinions, I might be totally wrong by that, but if it is Nico Muller alongside Pascal Wehrlein at Porsche, again, they'll be fighting for team's championship. I expect Wehrlein to be fighting for a driver's title. Nico Muller may be holding on for a top 5 in that driver's championship, I would say, is a fair assessment for how I think it'll go for the Porsche squad. And last but by no means least, we come to Nissan. Well, what can we say about Nissan? Of course, Ollie Rowland retained. I mean, why would you not? Why would you not, eh? What an incredible start he had last season, and what he had at the start of last season is what delivered him the championship at the end of the season. Because without that strong start that he had, the difficulty that Nissan faced from that mid-stage on, rarely picking up podiums, points or victories, to be honest with you. Yeah, he did all the heavy lifting in the first half of the season and really delivered the goods for the Nissan squad. So yeah, right to be retained. I expect big things from Ollie Rowland once again if you know, Nissan can get the consistency back on form to how it was at the start of last season. But then we have a surprise in Norman Nato being retained in that second seat for a second season. And really, what did he do last season to win Nissan over for him to have another season within the team? Because he really didn't deliver anything. He ultimately cost them the team's title. You know, because Ollie Rowland scored that many points over everyone else at one stage that himself, just with his points, was leading the team's title as well as the drivers. So yeah, Norman Nato, unfortunately for me, I hope he does really well, and I expect him to do well. He's certainly going to have the machinery to be consistent. But yeah, he just really didn't deliver a lot of points at all last season for the Nissan squad. Cost them single-handedly the team's title. And rarely picked up points when Ollie Rowland, when it had gone wrong for him either. So he wasn't even a good backup. He wasn't even right. The race has gone wrong for Ollie Rowland, but at least Norman Nato's 8th or something, so he can pick up some points. No, he was outside the points as well. So yeah, Norman Nato is a really interesting signing by Nissan and could potentially cost them a chance at the team's title again. But maybe he'll find his feet. We saw some times back at the Venturi era in Gen 2 where he has some incredible performances, a bit like a Maxi Gunter, where he was unbeatable on his day. You know, he took a great victory at Berlin several seasons ago where he was just unstoppable. But then, more often than not, we just see this rough and tumble with him. He's always got his wing knocked off. He's always running around in 15th, nowhere near the points. He doesn't qualify as well as his teammate. And it's a really difficult reasoning for why Nissan have kept him. I don't understand. I really don't. But I hope I'm proved wrong, because I like Norman Nato as a guy. I think he's a great driver on his day. But last season he didn't have any of his days, did he? He was just bimbling around and picking up minuscule points that really didn't matter in the end. So, yeah, Norman Nato, alongside Ollie Rowland. Ollie Rowland, I think, will deliver the goods again, as always. Will deliver what he's capable of doing with the car that Nissan provide for him. Norman Nato really needs to step it up this season. He really does. He's been given a reprieve, which I'm surprised about. I thought we'd see Norman Nato on the sidelines and Nissan trying to get someone like Van Dorn, you know, but it's just not happened, and I'm surprised by that. So yeah, Norman Nato confirmed for the Nissan squad. Needs to thank his lucky stars that he has done, and he really needs to reward them with some big points, some good positions, and delivering the maximum that the car is capable of delivering. Ollie Rowland, we know will do that anyway. Let's just hope that Nissan have the consistency that they had at the start of last season to be able to mount a serious championship fight again in both teams and drivers. And let's hope both drivers can get that together. So everything, guys, those were the thoughts on what I think of the current Formula E grid. The drivers that are fully confirmed and announced for each team, the ones that we're expecting to be announced, and the ones that are question marks at the moment. There's only a couple of seats really that have question marks alongside them, mainly in the Andretti one and the KIRO. But again, there's still someone that's rumoured to be there, I guess. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section. What do you think to the drivers that are currently signed up and fully announced, definitely? Who do you expect to be in those question mark seats? And what do you think will happen going into the next season, of course? We're only a few months away now. It's really closing in, isn't it? So thank you so much for watching this, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it. Something a bit different, I guess. And thanks as always for your continued love and support with the channel as well. It really does mean a lot. We're gaining some great subscribers at the moment. Almost at 1,500 subs now, which is mental. And the views are always ticking over 200 views, which is incredible for a channel my size. So thank you so much, guys. And yeah, look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, much love.